To be able to go back to back is something, you always hope to accomplish.
You knew Dansby was going to get big.
When you look back on things, like, it all makes sense, right?
Okay, so 2014, not a massive prospect pedigree. When we get into 2015, like, massive.
I'm Dansby Swanson. I was in Hillsboro in 2015 for about a month and a half.
That team, our middle infield was Sergio Alcantara and Dansby, so two big leaguers.
We had Alex Young, who now throws for the San Francisco Giants in the big leagues. We had Taylor Clarke with the Diamondbacks for a long time and has had a nice career in the big leagues.
After Dansby Swanson with loads of pitchers, and then you add in Ariel and Brody Greer, you add in Carlos Hernandez, who was one of our starters, an absolute stud. The pitching was like the real deal.
The Dansby Swanson experience really started on draft day.
So everyone knew the Diamondbacks had the first overall pick. Everyone knew there's a good chance that first overall pick starts his career in Hillsboro, because at that time we were a short season single A affiliate. We weren't yet high A.
We had some sort of fan party or fan fest at the stadium the day of the draft, and we had the draft on the video board. And when they selected Dansby #1 overall,
the Arizona Diamondbacks select Dansby.
The place kind of went crazy. It was a neat experience to watch that with our fans.
We knew he was going to the complex, and we heard a lot of rumors.
We didn't know for sure we were going to get him.
Originally, I felt like I was supposed to go to Visalia, which was, I believe, the high A team at the time.
Dansby's first day at the facility, he got hit by a pitch in the face.
And that really set everything back, just from a concussion standpoint, and kind of put a big halt on my professional journey.
And that was the death blow to us. Like, oh my God, we're not going to get Dansby Swanson. They're gonna shut down his assignment. They're not going to send him to an affiliate.
It's so funny, when you look back on things, it all makes sense, right?
And then you start getting these little reports trickling out, maybe hope isn't dead.
It kind of got to the point where it was you know what? I think Hillsboro makes the most sense, because, there's only probably 20 or 30 games left in the season. It would just make the most sense to go to Hillsboro.
Constant communication with our farm director of just making sure we're prepared whenever Dansby is signed and sent to us. We knew there'd be a little bit of a media circus since he was the #1 overall pick.
Then they said he's coming to Hillsboro. I said, oh, we got to see him while we got a chance. And #1, he's got to be something to watch.
I got sent up there, and looking back on it, obviously, probably the best thing that could have happened.
Because I'm a huge Diamondback fan, KL actually called me and said, hey, I'm about to drive and pick up Dansby Swanson at the airport. Do you want to come with me? And I was like, yeah, yeah, I want to come.
When he was joining us, our traditional team hotel was sold out. And we started calling around, and many of the hotels were sold out. And he had to spend his first night here in a hotel. He qualified as a hotel.
He was the coolest dude immediately.
And boy, he was smooth.
He was so into old school hip hop, and me and KL were always into old school hip hop. KL was at the Up and Smoke tour when he was a kid.
It's currently out of business, and there may be a good reason for that, but he didn't complain about it. He showed up. It was no big deal. He was understanding.
His first game, it was a Thursday, which isn't normally a really, really good attendance day, but when the first overall pick is in town, first home game, it was a big draw. We did a good job. We were pushing it to people, and I think we probably had 3,800 or 4,000 for that night. That game ended up going 13 or 14 innings.
He was great with the fans.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Afterwards, his first home game, there was a line of people from the gate all the way up to the concourse. It had to be 200 people in the line, all asking for an autograph. And I kept saying hey, Dans, you don't have to sign for everybody. Look, it's been a long day, long game, debut. No one would blame you, right? He signed until there wasn't a single person left.
Yep. Have a good night.
He realized that part of his job was to relate to the fans, to give them joy.
I was a kid at one point in my life, so I've always felt it was important to, listen to people and get to know their stories a little bit.
So this might have been his second or third game. He nails a triple to the wall. And I'm going, yeah, get the ball. And he throws it right at me. And I caught it, which is even more surprising, because I was like, wait, he's throwing the ball to me. And then said, wait, that's Dansby's first pro hit. So I hang on to it, obviously. shaking like I am now.
He had a moment for everyone.
I said, well, I got this ball. And Josh threw it to me, and I want to give it back to you. And he said, oh, no, you should keep it. I said, no, you can give it to a dad, give it to your coach. How about you trade me? And so KL, being the man KL is, runs back, gets a ball and a Sharpie, and Dansby signs it for me. And I've never been a fanboy, never had been close enough, but I'm a Dansby fan for life now.
You never know whose life you can change. You never know whose day you can make, and you know who you can inspire just by doing little things like that.
We got to the point where we started talking about actually the value of a Dansby Swanson signature, and Hillsboro is like nothing because everybody has one.
Come to think of it, I never got an autograph from him though. Should have taken advantage of that.
At the time that he was joining the team, we were already, I believe, in first place in the league.
Getting out of the gates pretty hot. I mean, I felt like we were almost winning almost every single night. Like, I forget our record, but it felt like every single night we're either winning it or very close to a game, like winning the game.
It was really like the perfect transition into pro ball for me because a lot of the guys there were also college kids as well.
I believe I hit either in front of them or behind them. But in any event, it's something that I still tell people, you know, got to hit behind Dansby Swanson.
Made me feel at home just because of the team that we had, the people we had.
He's the type of guy that he made my job easier.
Dansby has that kind of aura that he has about him, and like you see how he goes about his, you know, work, and he's very professional, and you know he's going to give everything he's got to win.
You know, he's special in so many different ways, and you still see that in his career. He's a winner. I was just lucky enough to have him on a dang short season team.
He came in and immediately just gelled. He meshed. He made friends right away, and really was just the perfect fit within the team.
Had ping pong tournaments. We would play video games in the clubhouse after. Like, we did a really good job of hanging out. And I really think that was a reason why we were, you know, so successful as a group, just because, you know, we were close.
There was a great combination between like jokesters, like guys that were like on it every day, and then one or two like kind of troublemakers that would take it a little too far, but then like everybody kept each other in check, even with all the fluctuation of the roster, and it was just like always a good time.
Obviously, Shelly Duncan was the manager, and he was great for me. You know, he believed in me and kind of really allowed me to blossom and like be myself, which in professional baseball can be hard to find.
The players will listen to players more than they will coaches. And if you have players that are excellent leaders and are very knowledgeable of the game, that's going to take your team to the next level.
Shelly and JR, they have completely different managing styles.
Yeah, that was fun playing with Shelly because he was definitely had that young, vibrant, like energy to him.
Every season is its own experience. You want to have the best life experience you possibly can. And made that an emphasis.
I still remember times like where I'm rounding second base and he's like fully on the ground with like one arm up, like, get out, and like screaming at me and just like rounding second, seeing him like, oh man, this is intense.
I've always said if the play is like bang bang or I need an extra piece out of the players, I need to show that I need to match that energy I want from them.
I feel like you were able to relate to him pretty well, being pretty young, and just becoming like a former player too.
Even with all the movement we had going on and guys coming in and out, he kept that group together and did a really good job keeping the energy up.
When we gave them a common goal of winning, they all came together on the field, and then off the field, these relationships just flourished.
Some people think it's about having fun. Some people think it's all about the work, and really and truly, it's like you got to find the perfect mesh of the two. And I feel like they did a great job of that because they knew we were all young and they were helping us build routines, but they were also not taking away the fun part of the game for us. Thank God we were all like young and dumb, right? Like we, you know, it's like, yeah, why not? You know, like I don't have a wife to go home to. Like I'll look as silly and dumb as I want. It was really unique to be able to kind of represent you know, a former team that was in Portland.
And especially like with the ties and the history, like being able to watch like the old Portland Mavericks, like the battered bastards of baseball, like on that documentary. It was kind of like cool to be able to see that and then like us go out and play.
Everyone always kind of remembers their first homework. It's just kind of cool that it happened on that night. You know, it took me a little bit to kind of get back on my feet. I feel like once things got rolling, it went, you know, for the better.
I'm telling you, with the Bulba we had, and then you get Dansby, it's like, I would have been the worst manager in the world if we didn't win at all.
We won the first game, and then we came into the second game. We were ahead by, I think 2 runs going into the top of the 9th.
There was more drama in that game than I think any of the almost 800 games the Hops have ever played.
Unexpectedly for us, they hit, I think, back-to-back home runs.
2 dingers in the inning off Alex Young. Salem Kaiser has stolen the lead 5-4.
I remember that. That was a bad gut punch.
It was a big comeback to even send the game into extra innings in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Accompanying that drama is incredible, and it just built and built.
You could see it building to a moment.
It got down to where we needed a clutch hit to win that round and get into the championship.
Bases loaded type situation.
And who's coming up to bat but the first overall pick, who's just won the College World Series, Dansby Swanson.
You practice that moment obviously all the time, like in your head and in BP of just like infield in. You just got to get a ball to the outfield.
I'm sure we'll roll the highlight.
1-0 pitch, swung on, and a fly ball to deep center field.
Looked to drive a ball, and I did.
Back going Jabavi, still going back, can't get it. Here comes Robertson.
Game over. Rich Burke just going nuts.
Hops win! Hops win! The Hillsboro Hops are going back to the Northwest League Championship Series, and they are mobbing Dansby Swanson.
Everyone in the ballpark knew he was going to get a hit.
We expected it. Dansby was just that kind of guy.
If you're going to win in the playoffs, might as well do it in dramatic fashion, right?
And I was so excited I emphasized the word back almost too much.
The Hillsboro Hops are going back to the Northwest League Championship Series.
Matt Rickert, my broadcast partner, and I, we still laugh about that.
I feel like what I remember the most was just like pure joy. It's
just total mayhem. It's like I'm literally sitting here. Like, I don't know if you could see it, but I just got goosebumps just thinking about it, because it was just such a special moment.
It was just the greatest moment, as a collective unit.
It felt like a script a lazy writer would have written. That dude was just electric. He was unbelievable.
And that's what gave us an opportunity to go back to back.
We won game 1 at home in Hillsboro.
I will always remember that swipe tag at second base.
Morales goes, the pitch outside, Olmeda's throw, the tag by Dansby, reaching down, they got him! What a tag by Dansby Swanson!
It's going for center field. You can just see it take off. It's like, no, it's not.
There was some inspiration from somewhere. Like, I feel like I had seen somebody do it at some point in, like, the big leagues.
Snags it, and you think, oh, thank goodness, not extra bases, and then he comes down, and he puts the tag on the runner.
When he slid and hit, like, kind of popped up a little bit, which kind of gave me the opportunity to tag him on the helmet.
And the crowd goes, what?
It was absolutely, one of the most incredible plays that I've ever seen.
Pasco, Washington. Yeah.
There were a lot of Hops fans who had made that road trip as well. And I think there might have been as many Hops fans as Dust Devil fans.
Me, KL, and Juan Huitron, who used to work for the team, all stopped at the Walmart in Pasco to pick up as much champagne as you could fit in a shopping cart, right? Just to be ready for the celebration. It's something you have to do, but you feel dirty while you do it because you haven't clinched. And we lost game 2. Really, really tense, right? For a lot of reasons. It's, it all comes down to this, but also we don't want to go back to Walmart and take the stuff back, right? But we felt really, really good because Carlos Hernandez was starting, who that year was voted the Northwest League Pitcher of the Year. He was just ridiculous.
I'm pretty sure, was it Nate Robertson? I'm pretty sure he had a big hit.
Robertson into second base, a 2-run double. He pumps his fist toward the Hops dugout. It is 3-0 Hillsboro in the top of the second.
In the clinching game of the Northwest League Championship Series, Carlos Hernandez threw 7 shutout innings with 12 Ks, and it was just like over.
Fastball, swing and a base, got him. France chases one outside and hurls the bat.
I just remember down in the bullpen, we were kind of mapping it out. We were like, all right, you got this inning, this inning, and then we're done.
When you're up 6-0, about to give the ball to Alex Young for the 8th inning and Taylor Clarke for the 9th inning, you're like, all right, let's go start setting up the plastic wrap in the locker room because this is a wrap.
Alex Young retires 3 in a row in the 8th inning.
Taylor got in the game. He had obviously been kind of lights out.
I don't even think he gave up a run that whole season.
I mean, I just kind of had one thought, was just go in and finish it out.
The Hops are a strike away from a 2nd consecutive Northwest League championship.
That palpable energy about I think we're gonna win, but are we gonna, you just never know.
Taylor mowed him down.
baseball got him swinging. And the Hops have done it. They stream out of the dugout to mob Taylor Clarke. For the second consecutive year, the Hillsboro Hops are champions of the Northwest League.
They're going nuts on the field. Everyone's having a great time.
I didn't know what to do. I just remember checking my glove 50 feet in the air. My glove just goes way up and it doesn't come back down into the frame for 3 seconds.
I feel like, man, I just feel like it was all a blur.
And I'm holding my phone out for various interviews and things like that. It turned out it did get on the air, although there's one portion I kind of wish hadn't got on the air.
Honestly, we're a bunch of clumsy. We're a bunch of clumsy souls in spring training.
Shelley Duncan, our manager at the time, used some language that probably shouldn't have gone out on the air, but it was in a celebratory way, and I think everybody took it in the spirit it was intended.
Just that camaraderie as a staff, the celebrating together, the pure joy that it brought everyone is pretty cool.
One thing that can never ever be taken away from us, and that's a big fat ring on the finger.
I remember just the ceiling dripping of champagne, and everything there was carpet in there too, so everything was just so soggy and soaking wet. It was so gross, and I felt so bad for the clubby or whoever had to clean it up at the time.
Shelley came up to me and just gave me a big hug, and it meant a lot to me just because I was new in a pro ball. When you're the first pick and you come out with these expectations and people look at you a certain type of way.
He had an extreme burden on his shoulders being the #1 pick overall and a lot of pressure.
And for him to just tell me that he appreciated me, valued who I was as a leader, believed in me, thought that I was going to have a special career. The thing that meant the most was, him saying when I came to the team, he just felt that calming presence and just felt like he could then take his hands off and just let me do my thing.
Me, I thought the best thing I could do was just, when he got to the team, was get my hands off and let that guy go out there and run that team on the field. And he made my job so much easier.
That meant a lot just because that's who I am.
You go home, you sleep in, you have a headache in the morning, but you wake up a champion.
Back-to-back was unusual for us.
Special, and that's the 2015 one right there. So it was cool to have them both back-to-back.
Being able to win right away gives you that feeling all right, not bad, we can keep going, I'm doing this, and gives you confidence to keep going through those grind years. Being able to go to every single level through the minor leagues is with confidence is probably because of that first season.
The big thing is Hillsboro created a winning culture, and it stressed the importance of winning, and that gets lost in minor league baseball a lot.
Every player at any level wants to win a championship, so that being one of the places I got to do it is super special.
It speaks a lot to the Diamondbacks organization, the types of players and types of coaching staffs that they were building, and it's starting to translate for them at the big league level as well.
It was really fun to kind of go into that and eventually winning it all and be man, that was a pretty cool first year of pro ball, being able to look back and seeing what we were able to accomplish both individually and as a team.
For the Hillsboro fans to be as loyal and supportive as they were, I mean, it was just such a cool moment, and definitely I always say all the time probably the most fun I ever had in professional baseball.
Some people would always ask oh, what was your favorite place to play in minors, and it's always Hillsboro.
You really appreciate it in hindsight when you look back and you see how difficult it is to make the playoffs, let alone win playoff games, and then to do that, the championship level 2 seasons in a row is just incredible.